What in the name of Frankie's big, wet, crusty camel toe happened, man? I watched Enies Lobby back in early 2024 while retroactively realizing that this damn near masterpiece of a story aired back in 2007, and all I can think right now is how much we have fallen as a species. So, last time we saw our crew, the Straw Homies and the secondary characters just tore down a whole ass train using the power of basic multiplication, and now they're off to save Robin from a courthouse that, for whatever reason, couldn't be kept to one building. They pose dramatically while Robin flashes us back to the good old days when definitely nothing bad happened to her, and she gives us that sweet, sweet thumbnail bait. The Straw Hats then jump off a bridge to reach her on the other side. Granted, it takes them like 5 whole attempts to make it across, but whatever, man. Nobody's perfect, right? So they bust in, work out everybody's 1v1s with the Cheese Pizza Corpse, and do everything in their power to make it out alive in one piece. That is ultimately the long and short of it all. I say that because Enies Lobby is frankly pissing me off in the best way possible by including 50,000 plot elements of equally great significance where I couldn't possibly get through all of them in one video. I must have spent like 2 hours combing over the various characters and battles and twists and agonizing over which ones I would have to end up leaving on the cutting room floor, and it damn well near fried my brain. Look, I never intended to be a One Piece analyst or whatever you guys call it. I figured if you guys wanted deep dives and comprehensive character analysis, you would have clicked on Murphy's channel or something. I assumed you all came here for the amateur drawing skills, poor attempts at comedic irony, and beautiful animated women. But apparently you guys think I'm smart or something now? Fine, you guys want me to bitch? Then bitching you shall receive. So, Enies Lobby. If I had to sum up this particular chapter of One Piece in a single word, it would probably be perseverance. Granted, this is nothing new for a series that takes 1,000 episodes to not be the Pirate King. It just feels especially poignant here. Almost all of the major players here have been playing some kind of long game, and Enies Lobby makes a very valuable distinction between the healthy kind and the kill myself physically, mentally, and socially kind. Take CP9 and Frankfurter here. These dweebs have been doing the whole espionage thing for 5 years just to get their hands on a tattered piece of paper. The second they get within 2 feet of it, Frankie Boy is like, burn baby burn. Now keep in mind, bro has been using a classified document as his own personal butt warmer for well over a decade, and he's surprisingly very calm about junking it. Like, I thought this guy was just an idiot lunkhead in every sense of the word, but the risk assessment he makes on the Straw Hats' behalf presents an emotional intelligence that I just find to be very refreshing for a character like that. So yeah, the Frankster is a rockstar case of how to be tenacious while also being a prime example of knowing when to hold him and fold him. And this is something that gets challenged a lot in the subsequent battle scenes. When Ziploc Face sends everyone on a wild key chase, everyone's most prominent values gets thrown out into the forefront, for better and for worse. When Chopper goes head to head with the Kabuki guy, broke his promise to Kuriha by taking a 3rd hit off of the hard stuff, and became the coolest motherfucking reindeer thing in all of fiction, I was like, whoa, man, you can't give the mascot character an epic badass moment. Isn't that like against the shonen code of conduct or something? So yeah, Chopper's strict adherence to kawaii culture just hurts even more when he's ultimately forced to break character. But it's the good kind of hurt, cause you know Chopper is a respectable man for going through it, even when he doesn't want to. At least, more so than I can say about Sanji right now. Alright, look, I know there's like backstory reasons for it that'll probably be explained in that one cake arc or whatever, but lucky for me, I'm new here, so I can rip on Sanji's I can't kick a woman, but I sure hope they'll kick me philosophy without pissing off too many people. But you know what? I won't, because A, Nami already did it for me, and 3, the show actually recognizes that his whole chivalry thing is in fact a huge fucking liability. Like, I can't say I was expecting Sanji's rampant simping to be treated as a legitimate source of strife, but honestly, I'm with it. Like I was saying before, perseverance is an admirable trait in many ways, but believe it or not, there comes a time when being horny 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year can actually be kind of a drawback. Yeah, crazy, right? Anyway, Nami's designated girl fight ends with her victory, and I'm sure this won't be the last time we see that cool as hell Mirage move of hers. The rest of the CP9 blokes get bodied too, and even though I'm not usually the kind of guy who will bust a nut over battle scenes, even I'm not immune to the vast amounts of chatitude pulsating from these men. Zoro suddenly growing 9 metaphorical arms to take out guy I care too much about? Awesome! Sanji setting his leg on fire to defeat guy I don't really care that much about? Spicy! And who could forget the original persona, Rob Lucci? You know, every time I start a new arc, I always wonder how they're gonna differentiate the current villain from the previous ones, and suffice to say, we've got ourselves another winner here. I think the best way I can describe this guy is that he's a very classy freak. Like, his fit with the shoulder bird and the top hat comes off as real dapper, but his one backstory episode tells me that this dude has a sick fetish for homicide, and the only reason he even joined the Cheese Pizza Corps is that it basically amounts to legal murder. The fact that he's been chasing that fix since he was like 13 has me like, yeah, this guy probably jacks it to true crime podcasts on the DL, if you know what I mean. But you know, with all this talk about perseverance and persistence and being stubborn to a fault, it would be downright criminal of me to bitch about all that if I didn't bring up our girl of the hour, Nico Robin. To say my opinion of her changed since the day I first mentioned her in my Alabasta video is a big fucking understatement. I used to see Robin as this beautiful, bookish, ara onesan type, and I still do, but I initially thought she was a little too distant and uninvolved with the rest of the Straw Hats, and it always had me wondering what the big hype over her was all about. Little did I know, that was the fucking point. Robin has persevered harder than any kid her age should have the capacity to. I mean, just look at this backstory. Dead mom, dead best friend, an entire island wiped out for the sake of Libricide, the media calling her a devil, foster families betraying her at every turn, and to top it all off, she was forced to learn the most annoying laugh ever produced by humans. So yeah, that was a rough couple of episodes, let me tell you. But you know, as horrific of a life Robin has had, the amount of cojones it takes to have lasted this long is nothing short of amazing. This is gonna sound morbid as all hell, but a lesser person probably would have offed themselves by now. Robin is a quiet and introverted individual, even by One Piece standards, and the fact that she felt so much for her friends despite being unable to express it is just way up there on the relatability spectrum. Robin, by all accounts, had nothing to live for. The only reason she even managed to survive this long is because Best Boy Saul promised her that someday, somehow, she would make friends. That is the thread of hope that Robin has been desperately clinging onto this whole time. And if that's not the definition of perseverance, I don't know what is. Side note, the way Luffy handled that whole situation just completely floored me. Robin talked a big game about how he should have just stayed the fuck out of her business and how badly she wants to die. And the socially acceptable reaction here is to be shocked and be like, how can you say that? You have so much to live for, or some variation of the sort. Luffy, in his unending quest to be atypical, just picks his nose and is like, girl, we spent a good 10 episodes to get here. If you want to die, at least do it back on the ship. Granted, he thinks Robin is full of shit shortly after and calls her out on it, but the point still stands. The show values agency of character above all else, and I don't think anybody would protest if I said that this arc's most iconic moment is founded on that. I mentioned in a previous video that an arc's power level can be measured by its greatest meme, and Enies Lobby most definitely has one of those. That big monumental scene of Robin crying and screaming, "I wanna live!" is famous not just because it's a funny looking face out of context, but because it tells you exactly what kind of show One Piece is as a story. And I wish I could tell you guys that I cried the first time when I watched it, but unfortunately, that's one space on my One Piece bingo card that I am unable to claim. Yeah, apparently I only have enough saline in my eyes to cry once per story arc, and I think you can guess by this point which scene got that honor. But building up to that, if I had to pick this arc's secondary theme, it would probably be sacrifice. The characters of One Piece are no stranger to things like death and loss, but the show came out during a time when actively doing that was considered a narrative faux pas, so any killing was relegated to flashbacks or sudden unexplained revivals. Naturally, Robin's backstory falls into the former, which is probably why I wasn't as emotionally distraught as I had hoped I would be. Maybe I'm just an unfeeling bastard who prefers to not dwell on past events, but that isn't to say that I don't feel for things as they're happening in real time. Long story short, I broke down during Mary's funeral. Look, y'all gotta understand the setup here. I pulled up the episode on the big old family TV for maximum pain. I had Kleenex at the ready in the event of early leakage. I had done my breathing exercises to moisten my tear ducts, kept the room lights down to a somber twilight, and to top it all off, I rewatched the clip of Vivi's departing forehead just before the episode played. I was ready to fucking bawl. And you know what? I was dry for the most part. Had a lump in my throat here and there during the good memories montage, but so far I had been rock solid, which had left me feeling concerned that nothing was gonna be happening. Until...
I'm sorry. I wanted to carry everyone just a little bit further. I had so much fun. I wish our adventures would never end.
Fine. You're 2 for 2, One Piece! Let's see you go for 3. So, from that point, life moves on. Frankie builds the crew a bomb-ass ship planted with AstroTurf, gets inducted into the Straw Hats with one of Robin's ceremonial nutcrackers. Oh hey, Kobe and Helmeppo are back. Usopp rejoins after being MIA for most of the story, and they set off for a whole new world. I think it's fair to assert that Enies Lobby is a grand culmination of everything that preceded it. And let me tell you, when I said this arc was about perseverance, I also meant that in a literal sense. This shit was long, bro. Last time I checked, Enies Lobby clocked in at over 100 episodes, more so than any other arc that I can remember. And thinking about how it's all been worth it is actually kinda sad. Remember what I said at the start of this video about how far we've fallen as a species? Well, that's precisely what I'm talking about here. We will never have a moment like this in anime again. I did the math, and the amount of time we've had since the crew first got Mary and the day they buried her is 296 episodes. Tell me, when was the last time we had a good slow burner like that for a series? Like, I know the current state of anime demands that studios hit the ground running and blitz through the story just to keep people's attention, and it's birthed a lot of good series that way, don't get me wrong, but God, is it depressing. What happened to those days where you could just casually watch an anime put out mediocre episodes on a weekly basis and then cry when they finally whip out a tearjerker? We used to be a country of principles, man. Nowadays, it's like, oh wow, this character died after 2 episodes? I don't fucking care, because I never got the chance to know them. Look, all I'm saying is that Enies Lobby would not have been nearly as effective if it had the typical 12 episodes to wrap up the story arc deal. As the last of the big long-runner shonen anime, One Piece encapsulates the essence of a beautiful bygone era that I fear we will never get to see again. Alright, enough bitching. 10 out of 10 arc, I cried over a boat. Peace! Yo, ToonStarterz, you published this video on October 31st, 2024. Shouldn't you have covered Thriller Bark instead to coincide with the Halloween spirit? Good question. And the reason for that is because I am completely fucking useless at keeping to a schedule. I know I don't post nearly as much as I would like to on this channel, so really, it's all because of your guys' support and your monthly donations on Patreon that's keeping this channel afloat. And for that, I must thank you. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until then, yo ho ho ho, yo ho.